I've been talking about authentic living for some time now. And one thing about living authentically is that um, it is it can be demanding at times because you have to constantly do things that align with your true values, not just living anyhow. So one of the challenges, or I wouldn't call it challenges, a challenge, but one of the things that was the hardest for me to do was quitting my job. Naturally, I am not that kind of person that really likes working, like this 9 to 5 job kind of thing. I have always been someone that wanted to be an entrepreneur. So, on starting that job, I already knew in my heart that I'm gonna quit someday. So, but what happened was that as I kept on going. I stayed in the job for a little less than 2 years. And as I kept on going, I started noticing that I have started having that inner urge to quit the job because it's no longer aligning. That initial time, it was okay for me to do the job, but I found out that after a year or so, I started feeling that urge within me to quit the job as it no longer aligns with my authentic self. Some of these things you can't really understand why they happen. It initially it was okay for me to do the job, but at some point it started feeling like I say having that feeling, inner perception, inner guidance to quit the job. And mind you, this particular job is not the first job I have to quit. There was one I was doing before then that I did for only 4 months, and I started having this kind of urge also to quit the job. And one thing that I learned from that experience was to just obey my inner guidance without going to consult with others. That first time I did, I talked about it that look at what I'm feeling, because a lot of people don't live by how they are guided, so they don't really understand it. Even before I started on the path of um, personal growth and development, spirituality, and all that, I, being a highly sensitive person, I have always lived not even if not entirely, but I have always lived according to my inner guidance. So when I started perceiving it that time, I mentioned it to some people. They said, no, don't quit. So if you quit, what will you be doing? Where will you be getting money? How will you survive and all that? Meanwhile, knowing that those situations are inherent, I needed to survive, I needed money to have food on my table and all that. But the urge to stop was something I couldn't ignore. So I listened to them and I continued with the job. But at some point, I couldn't. I even mentioned it to my boss, and he said, please stay, we need you here. Instead, let me increase your salary. He did. But after about a month, I couldn't. One day I just came and I walked into his office and I told him, sir, please let me go. I can't continue. He now said, okay, write your resignation letter. I wrote it immediately and brought to him. He signed and I left. Unlike saying or like giving a month's notice or so. So he just signed and I left. And immediately I left, I was filled with joy, even when I don't know what next to do or how I will survive moving forward and all that. So, but in this one, it was quite different. So I started feeling the whole thing about quitting the job. Apart from this particular job was very, very, very stressful for me. Every day when I wake up, I'll just be angry. No matter how much I try not to be angry, it won't work. If I just wake up in the morning, the anger will just start. So I discussed that part of it with some people. They were like, do this, do that, try this, try that. It was just one person that said, do you still love this job? And I said, no, I don't. I no longer love the job. She said I could be the reason, but she never suggested I should quit. So, but meanwhile, the quitting part, I never mentioned to anybody that I was gonna quit. I just knew in my heart that it was building up momentum, that one of these days I'll just have to let go of the job. And then again, the other side of it, the fear of the unknown, the uncertainties of life, and all that. So that is what is always keeping us in situations that no longer serve us. That is what fear of the unknown is the number one reason why we don't live our authentic life. We keep doing things that betray us or self-sabotage us because of the fear of the unknown. I will not deny that the fear of the unknown is not there. I will not deny that it is not a thing. I will not deny that. But sometimes you just have to. Having the first job that I had to quit, look at me, I'm still here. Now, this one I had already stopped working for I think 5 months now, because I stopped October last year. I've not worked since that October till now. That I'm still here. Though before that, I had already started on the talking about this whole authenticity thing. I have started having people that are mentoring. I've started having people that WhatsApp groups that I created, that I talk to, all those things. I've started all these things already. And I also have a platform for real estate and all that that I created already. So, but they have not started bringing in money. I've not made even 1 naira from any of them. So, yet I had that thing about quitting. So, I resisted it for a long time, for close to 6, 7, or even 9 months, because I was like, let this thing start bringing in money first before I can make the switch. At least let it start bringing in money enough to cover my daily expenses and paying off my bills and all that. But at some point I couldn't. I developed a very severe back pain, and I started feeling like I was going to break down neurologically, because I started having some strange kind of movement in my brain, back of my brain, and all that. Different things started happening. One day I just got up and I wrote a mail to my boss in the here in the our regional headquarters. He invited me over to ask me why I want to quit. Because if I had started discussing it with some people or some colleagues, maybe they would have said no, don't, okay, stay till December. But even in my heart, I decided I will stay till Christmas, then January I will now stop. But the way the whole thing was coming, I couldn't continue. One thing with our inner guidance is that, first of all, it will whisper, or it will come as an impression. If you do not do it, it will whisper. If you do not do it, it will scream. So it had already started screaming to me. I started breaking down health wise and all that, from the stress of the job, because I was constantly on the flight, fight, freeze mode. The only time I normally rest was mainly at night. Sometimes too, I still get some things that I have to do the next day in the night, and that it switches me back to the whole freeze fight mode. So I just had to quit the job. So, and I faced my entrepreneurial journey. So far so good, and I may keep on giving you guys the update. So why I had to bring up this thing is how sometimes we fear the uncertainties of life. So what I have found out in my own journey so far is that even in the uncertainties of life, like the whole uncertainty of where my food will come from, where money will come from, since these businesses are not yet grounded and all that. And there's something I have to mention here: what you give your energy begins to grow. So when I was working, my energy, I don't know how to divide myself up like that. My entire energy was in the work. But since I left, I have seen tremendous growth in my businesses, in as much as, or maybe financially they are not yet there. Or let me not even say that. So, but I've seen tremendous growth because I am giving them my entire energy. So, it is very, very important, as I was saying initially, to note that even in the uncertainty, there is certainty. I started noticing that the whole uncertainty thing is not really like that, it is our perception. So I came to understand that um, if you're working closely, if you have found out who you are as one with God, because that's who we are, that's the truth of who we are. We all are one with God. We are divine emanation of God. So um, if you have found out that, if you have self-realized yourself, have come to know yourself as one with God, then you will see that there are no uncertainties in that area. So the more now I stay, the more I feel the presence of my guys angels around me, the more I feel the presence of God around me. I know I'm not alone. I know that my boat cannot sink. Sometimes we just focus our attention on the whole monetary gain that we think. Before, I don't know, I was always equating progress with the amount of money I make, but now I've come to understand that it is not really about the money I make, the time which money making is very, very important, but about the moment to moment experiences of life. So what I am now enjoying is my moment to moment experience of life itself. So that is what's very, very exciting for me. So I've been creating new things, writing new books, because I really love to write. Um, and preparing myself, like, sometimes from this I have come to understand that for you to move to the next level, you also have to grow into that person that will move to that next level. So I can see a lot of things coming up for me to transcend, a lot of things coming up for me to outgrow and become more of the divinity that I am. So I with this video I want to like encourage you. If you're at that place that you know, okay, I am no longer honoring myself by continuing here, maybe it's time for you to do the right thing. It is not bad after all. It's not bad after all. Okay, someone would say, okay, you already have something to fall on back on. What of me? Maybe it's time for you to start also knowing what you have to do, or create something that you finally fall back on. Maybe it's time for you to do that. Then, as I said it initially, I said that living this authentic life sometimes is not bread and butter. There are some times you will come up with, you face a situation whereby you know that doing a particular thing means aligning with your authentic self, but doing the other means going out of alignment with your authentic self. So there is a situation currently that I'm facing. It is in the real estate business that someone gave me a huge building to sell. That if I'm able to sell that building, I'm going to make serious money from it. But something about the whole thing is off somehow. It's not really aligning with me, and I have been a kind of waiting to see if I will understand what the situation is, or maybe something will open up a kind of for me to truly understand what is going on. So I discussed it with someone that I normally work with in the whole real estate thing. The person said that, what are you going to lose? You can sell it or you may not even sell it. So even if the person, because I'm not sure where the whole thing is coming from, maybe from the conditions the person gave, or I don't know. I mentioned, he said, why are you feeling that way? I said, maybe from the conditions the person gave. The person now said, why not just ignore the conditions and just try and sell? Maybe even if the conditions he gave, even if you sell and fulfill the conditions, you will still go home with a lot of money. but something inside of me is not agreeing. So sometimes, um, for me, since I started this journey, the greatest place I've had to face serious decision making is when it comes to money, when it comes to making money that aligns with my value. And it always comes in a very large way that it will be tempting not to do the right thing, which is to honor my authentic self. So, but this morning I have made up my mind, in as much as I have not understood why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling about the whole thing. Looking at it, it is a very promising range that everybody will be excited. No, and there's nobody that will not be excited to work on that project. But excuse me, as it is, I'm going to reject it to honor my authentic self. So I prefer to make the money that will give me peace, not the one. I don't know what is surrounding the whole thing. So this is one of the ways it can become really tough to honor your authentic self. But when it comes to that, you have a choice to honor it or not to. So, but I would suggest that you honor it. Because I do hear when people say that I am not for everyone, that is not every business venture that is for me. So that is a good one. Learn to say no, that no, when even when it is very uncomfortable, even when there is a huge monetary gain that can come out of it. I think that is what I am learning from this situation. So then there is another part to this whole thing about now living life in the flow of life, but dancing with life fully, that Singer called a surrender experiment. So when you come to this place of uncertainty, you don't have any other choice than to surrender fully. I've been someone that lives a surrendered life, but I have come to see another deeper level of surrender, whereby uh, sometimes our pain, most of the pain or suffering we encounter um, comes from having a particular expectation and things not turning out according to those expectations. So what I have come to learn now is that sometimes I have learned to surrender even my own personal expectations. Mostly, some of our expectations mostly come from the ego self or the mind, but have now known that my mind is limited, or my brain is limited in what it can conceive as what is actually good for me and all that. So surrendering at this level is something I've never done before, so it was even scary for me. So even when I told my mentor that I have quitted the job, he said to me that now you just have to live in the flow, in the flow of life. So he had already given me about one book about the flow thing and synchronicities and all that I was reading then. Then somehow I came across Michael Singer's book, The Surrender Experiment. I read it too, and those books helped prepare me to how I'm now living. So it's no longer the whole mind thing, or plan this, plan that, and start executing. So there are days that I wake up, I may not know the next step to take. So I just be still and know. So that is it. Sometimes it's not always if the whole living in an uncertainty situation, you just need to trust. You just need to trust. Sometimes it can make someone want to freak out, but trust is the way. You'll be surprised at the beautiful opportunities that life will start bringing. So far in my business, I have seen beautiful opportunities that life is bringing my way on its own. Nothing way I wouldn't have been able to uh, get those people to come around me and all that. So, but not like I'm not somehow struggling with the whole surrender thing. Sometimes I am more surrendered than other times, which I don't do consciously. So sometimes I'm also thinking of what will this be like, or trying to know the the end of the whole thing. So in the whole surrender thing, so sometimes you may need to give up the need to know how it will turn out, which is not how we have been brought up to live, and it can be a little bit challenging and all that. So that is it. If you know you are not, you know where you are. Okay, a friend of mine contacted me sometime last week and told me that her job is breaking her back, that she feels like quitting. In fact, that she knows she should quit, but responsibilities. So, being that I've been there, she had told me this last year. I suggested to her, why not start now and begin to lay a foundation for what you fall back into when you quit. Since you are a career kind of person, you like to work before that thing can be sustaining you before you get another job. Or do you even know if immediately you quit this one, you're getting another one? She said that her people told her that she should get another one before quitting. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. So she contacted me again this year, just last week. And then when she contacted me last year, I was already planning to quit, but I didn't tell her. So but then I now have quitted, and it's like 5 months now. So she contacted me again after like 5 months. So I told her, I think it's time for you to quit. She said, but if she quits, how will she support her people? How will she do this? And I asked her, how were they surviving before you got the job? I'm not by any means saying that she should not support her people, but you have to be okay to be able to support your people much more. There is nothing that kills. I have been there. That is demoralizing. Like every day, she said the same thing that was happening to me every day. Whenever I wake up, I'm angry. You will just be angry for the rest of the day. Nobody can go so far living that way. So I just suggested to her, why not quit? You don't even know what awaits you on the other side. So you can just be here, fearing the whole uncertainties are lying ahead of you and all that. But you don't really know what is there for you. So why not quit and see faith? There's something the Bible said that faith that the righteous shall live by faith. So I think the whole thing is a lifestyle of faith, a lifestyle of knowing that you'll be okay, even if you're not seeing it right now. That is it. Because I know that anyhow, no matter what, I'll be fine. I also support my family. In fact, it's not every member of my family that knows that I have quitted my job. So when they still call me for sports, I still give as much as I can. So, and they don't know that I've quitted. So, but is do whatever that works for you, but I would suggest you honor your authentic self. Be yourself. There is a reason why it's happening. I believe and I've seen that it is always for your highest good when you obey and move on. Maybe life is calling you to a greater, to step into your purpose, or maybe life is calling you to awaken to your true nature, to come to know yourself experientially as one with God. Maybe that is what is happening to you. So I would suggest that you obey what is happening within you, and stop self-sabotaging yourself and betraying yourself. So that will be all today. If this my personal story has touched you in some ways and you like this kind of videos, try and see my other videos, and also subscribe to my channel and like the video if you can. Also share with others, and always come back to check or hit the notification button to know when I post, and always come back to check on other videos. Thank you so much, and God bless you all and have a wonderful day. Bye.